Most people think progress is about not breaking the streak, about staying perfect, about never missing, about holding everything together without slipping. And when the streak breaks, something changes. They don't just feel behind, they feel disqualified, as if one interruption erased everything that came before it. So instead of continuing, they stop, not because they can't go on, but because they think the moment has passed. But that belief is what actually breaks progress, not the interruption itself. There's a specific moment where progress quietly ends. It's not when things get hard. It's not when motivation fades. It's not even when effort drops. It's the moment someone thinks, "I've already messed this up." That thought changes the meaning of everything. A missed day stops being a pause and starts feeling like failure. And once something feels like failure, walking away feels easier than returning. Restarting feels clean. It feels controlled. It feels hopeful. It feels like redemption. Returning, on the other hand, feels messy. It means continuing without a perfect story. It means accepting interruption. It means admitting you're human. So the mind chooses restarting, not because it's better, but because it protects identity. Restarting lets you imagine who you could be again. Returning asks you to stay with who you are. The problem is that restarting has a cost. Each restart trains you to associate interruption with collapse. You learn, slowly and unconsciously, that progress is fragile. That consistency depends on perfection, that momentum can't survive mistakes. And over time, this makes starting heavier, because now you're not just starting the task, you're starting the risk of failing again. People who make progress long-term don't avoid interruptions. They expect them. They don't build identity around streaks. They build identity around return. They don't ask, "Did I do this perfectly?" They ask, "Did I come back?" That difference seems small, but it changes everything, because return survives chaos. Perfection doesn't. Every return does something important. It restores trust, not trust that you'll never struggle, but trust that struggle doesn't end the process. When you return after a break, you prove something quietly powerful, that progress doesn't depend on ideal conditions, that it can continue inside real life, that you don't have to reset to move forward. This kind of trust compounds. Instead of telling yourself, "I'm someone who never misses," try something more stable. "I'm someone who resumes." That identity doesn't collapse under pressure. It doesn't require flawless execution. It doesn't panic when life interrupts. It only requires one thing, that you come back. When return becomes the goal, pressure changes. Missing a day no longer feels dangerous. Slowing down no longer feels like failure. Adjusting no longer feels like quitting. Everything becomes recoverable. And when things feel recoverable, people stop giving up entirely. Here's the paradox most people miss. The less you demand perfection, the more consistent you become. Because consistency doesn't come from intensity. It comes from durability, from building something that can survive being imperfect. Progress isn't built by streaks that never break. It's built by people who return when breaking would have ended things before. So if you stopped, and you're thinking of restarting later, consider something quieter. Return now. Continue imperfectly. Let the story stay unfinished, because progress doesn't end when you pause. It ends when you decide not to come back. And that choice is always available.